I have to keep hydrated because this video is going to be not only juicy, but it is going to be a long one. That is because today I'm going to be naming and shaming all of the hair choices, changes, and transformations that I've had through the years that I have tried and sadly will not be trying again and will not recommend to you guys. Today, we're going to go through all the hair changes that I, as a hairstylist and a hair enthusiast with 10 years of experience, will not be trying again. You guys know me a lot. You guys know that I'm an extremely wholesome, very positive-minded individual, especially when it comes to hair transformations and different experiences. And I am always extremely open-minded to trying things, even if there's the possibility of it going sour. That is because I have an entire studio set up here that has all of the tools needed and all of the products needed for me to fix it, if that be the case. And I'm also quite open-minded and eager to warm up to an idea if that is what it means. That being said, there are 5 changes in my life previously that I have made to my hair that I won't be rushing to do again, and I'm making this video as kind of an exemplary video. Is that what the word is used for? Exemplary? No, I'm showing you examples. Just to keep these in mind if you also want to follow on a bit of a wilder hair journey. Same as me, these might be things that might not work for you and you might want to avoid. Let's get right into it. Black box dye. The box dye conversation is such a hot and heaty one within the hair community. There is such a underappreciation, especially from hairstylists and hair professionals, for any sort of box dyes. And the argument is always that box dyes are not made with the same good quality materials as other dyes, and often they tend to contain metallic salts as well as other cheaper ingredients, which is what makes them so easy and quick to buy and cheap to buy within a store. Now, I always want to maintain that I am extremely open-minded, and I am just okay with the idea of you trying anything. So I will never judge based on what is available to you. And so when I had the opportunity to dye my hair with box dye very late last year, I was like, absolutely, I am someone who's always open to the idea and I want to do it. And it was also with my favorite brand, Schwarzkopf. The thing that I should mention probably is that this opportunity came to me right after I shaved my head and I was 3 months into my virgin hair growth. To give you a bit of hindsight, my natural hair color is a level 7, kind of a dark blonde, and I was actually super proud of the fact that I had gone 3 months without dyeing it. However, I was super excited for this opportunity, and when they presented me with a color that was called Deep Auburn, I was extremely excited. I dyed my hair with it, I washed it off, and the dye turned black. Now, once again, I'm not someone who's going to be sour at something, and while it was a bit of a surprise when I washed it off, I rolled with it, I created the look, and I was extremely proud of that look as well as the looks that followed. However, the more I washed the hair and the more I kind of saw it in the light, I noticed that this color was not at all anything that was pictured or even anything that was numbered, that within hair terms 706 is something that is a light blonde. Even though it wasn't anything like that, I soon came to realize that the end color somehow ended up being black. Now, I don't want to put blame on the box dye itself or on the brand itself. This is just something that happens when you don't have as much control over it, and which is why I tend to prefer using either very individual hair products, the entire color line of a brand, or else stick to semi-permanent, because once I dyed my hair with this color, as nice and as fun as it was, it took me months to get anywhere lighter, and it took me 4 bleaches to get it to how it was before. I spent a lot of time experimenting, and I'm extremely grateful for that. I ended up trying out a bunch of different color removing techniques and variations and different styles, but ultimately it was something that I wish I prolonged a bit more. Since then, I have routinely stuck to mainly demi-permanent or semi-permanent dyes. These are just dyes that do not penetrate as deep within the hair shaft. They are more of a stain rather than they are a permanent alteration to the hair, and they allow the user, myself, to be able to change the hair much more frequently versus something like this. Box dyes are still really great alternatives for someone who wants permanent hair color changes, or especially if you have grays, which demi-permanent and semi-permanents will will not cover. But for someone like me, it should have crossed my mind. It should have crossed my mind. It should have been something that I kind of go at it a bit warily, but I was just super excited for the opportunity to collaborate with one of my favorite brands. And honestly, I like box dyes. It is just sometimes you lack the control that maybe you require. I most likely will be avoiding box dyes for the time being, just because it put my hair through a bit of an exhaustive period. Micro keratin extensions. By far the most controversial thing that I could have done this year is get extensions, 20-inch extensions on my extremely short hair. I'm gonna start this off by saying that I was happy with the result of my extensions, and also most specialists will not do it on short hair. They will take one look at me and they would have been like, absolutely not, because the hair is too short. So the fact that my specialist was like, absolutely, let's try it, we'll see what happens, I'm extremely grateful for it. And again, I did get to learn from it. But there were three main reasons why I was not personally quite a fan of extensions. The first one is that I did not like the feeling of my hand getting stuck in the beads, or my brush getting stuck in the beads. I am someone who likes to run my hands through it. It is something that I do when I'm fidgeting, when I'm nervous, or even just as a comfort thing. I'm constantly just running my hands through my hair, and I was not able to do that whatsoever with these extensions. I don't know how you guys do it, either with K-tips, with weaves, with sew-ins, with tape-ins. I like the glide. Even with a wig, I'm fine with it, because I can run my hands through it. Fair enough, it's full of product at the moment, but it's something that I've gotten accustomed to. With extensions, the fact that I could not do it, I was never able to get comfortable with them at all. The second reason is that I am a wig wearer. Extensions add a ton of bulk under it, and anytime I tried to shove a wig on it, it was too much, and there would be a very distinct bump right here. For me, I was never able to make it look natural. And the final thing, and this is I think that most people kind of noticed, was that in my personal thing, I do think that the extensions in the very beginning were just way too long for my length of natural hair, and there just wasn't enough placed in my hair. One thing that I would recommend now, from my perspective, if I were you, I would go for either a layered look if you want to keep the length, like layer the extensions down, or else go for a much shorter bob, which I did too later on, and that was absolutely splendid. However, when I kind of first walked out with 20-inch hair after having 4-inch hair, it was distinct, it was noticeable, and it was not my most elegant time when it came to hair. I will not be running back to try extensions. I am a wig girl through and through, or else natural. It wasn't for me. Gluing wigs to my head. This one, you guys are gonna roast it. I have a wig glued to my head right now. Let me explain. You might not be familiar, but when it comes to wigs, there are two main ways that you can wear them. The first one is either you just place it on and then adhere it with grips and clips. And this is a very good way if you wear wigs daily, but you're happy to remove them and then place them back on every single morning and every single evening. I, however, prefer the second option, which is where you glue down the wig to your hairline, and then you're able to sleep in it, wear it, rock it for days on end, if not weeks on end, exactly like it is now. This is a very great way to have a wig look extremely natural, and if you have a busy lifestyle, it can be very fun. However, prior to my knowledge now, and essentially my knowledge of wigs comes because I messed up earlier in my career, I did not fuss too much about the glue placement. Up until last year, actually, I used to apply my wigs by putting on a basic wig cap, and then I would apply the glue to my hairline and then the wig on top of the glue. I also did not use any adhesive remover when it came to removing it, meaning I would just rip it off. Doing this long enough, consecutively putting glue on your hairline and your hair, means that you are ripping out your hair, especially your baby hair, but also regular hair, time after time after time. And when I shaved off my head, I noticed that I had some significant balding around my hairline, and this was something that only became evident once I shaved it. After looking at footage from previous years and then comparing it even to now, I've noticed that it was because I was incorrectly applying my wig and applying glue to my hair. Keep in mind, this glue is meant to last. It is meant to keep your wig there, meaning it is strong. If you were to just rip it off, or even with time, it would dislodge the hair, and I ended up giving myself unintentional hairline loss. This type of hairline loss can also be present if you wear extensions incorrectly or for too long, or even if you wear super tight hairstyles and tight ponytails. So if you have a naturally kind of thin hairline, it might be because of one of those. In my case, it was because I was incorrectly applying wigs. To prevent this, I glued the wig cap directly to to my hair and I overlap slightly onto my skin, and this would be done with a water-based adhesive, and then I apply the glue onto that. This prevents me from ever touching glue to my own natural hair. And since then, I'm happy to report my hair has been doing wonderfully. It has been super full. I've also used a lot of different hair growth methods and techniques and products to obviously kind of recalibrate the hair that I waxed out of my head. But it is something that I will not be doing again. Once I release my own wig line and I release my own glues, I'm going to give you an exact rundown of how to avoid this and how to wear your wigs the safest way possible. The buzz cut. This one's a tiny bit bittersweet. So I do not regret having the act of the buzz cut. So last year I shaved off my hair, and for about 2 months, a period of 2 months, I went about creating a bunch of different designs and experimenting with a bunch of different colors while I rocked this buzz cut. This was as a result of me having tried every single hairstyle that I could think of prior to this, and I was at a block. And I was so eager to try something new, and I was so excited for the buzz cut. And that is something that I still stick by to this day. I absolutely loved having no hair, but having just enough to then create designs in a way that never before could I have done. However, when looking at it from a personal point of view, a career point of view, a business point of view, and then a mental point of view, I can spot multiple things that were hindered as a result of me shaving off my hair. The first thing that was kind of extremely evident was the immediate reaction from the many people who watch and interact with my videos. As someone who was obviously known as the hair girl, the buzz cut came as a shock, even though it shouldn't have, because I'm someone who loves to try and experiment. And as I mentioned, I'd love to say I'm extremely open-minded and open to ideas. This wasn't something that many people warmed up to, and although I try to limit how much comments affect me and impact me, there were still times where I wish I hadn't done it, or I wish I kept it personal for me and didn't share it with the internet. And if I would do it again in the future, that's probably the way that I would do it. The second way that it did was that it affected my career somewhat heavily because of the fact that many of my viewers did not warm up to that idea. My engagement levels and my general interaction on most of my social platforms declined, meaning that career-wise, I was at a bit of a halted or stalled period. And ultimately that was the decision why I started growing my hair out, because I was at a point where I wasn't earning the income that I was earning, and I was also in the midst of starting a brand. And then from a business point of view, having launched a hair brand with its launching products being hairbrushes was a very interesting choice. I started looking at starting my brand in 2020 at a time where the buzz cut was nowhere near on my mind, because of the fact that this was my very first time launching anything, and there were delays due to COVID and many other things. The launch of the brushes ended up being 2023, at which point I had just shaved my head and was now in my growth period. The brand ultimately suffered, and the launch ultimately suffered because I wasn't an adequate representation, even though it was everything that I hoped for, and it was something that I used daily because I was a wig wearer, an extension wearer, and ultimately I was using it on everyone. This was something that people weren't able to connect to because of what they were seeing. And so that one is kind of the thing that I feel most personally, because I'm like, I wished the two could have aligned, but in reality, this was something that I should have postponed, but then I knew that I would be kicking myself nonstop for not having done it earlier. The buzz cut remains constantly a bittersweet hair decision. It is something that I wish I kind of put more thought into, or I understood how it would affect me. Going forward, I think I would only ever do a buzz cut completely private. I don't know that I would share it with the internet again. And I would make sure that it would be something fully personal, like something that wouldn't affect any business, any future growth, any future career aspects. So something that you have to go through to learn. I have learned, and I have learned deeply. And the last thing that I will not be getting again is improper haircuts for my hair type, or the wrong type of haircut for my hair type. I've made a video about this prior, like all the worst haircuts that I got, and a lot of it does stem from the hair type that I had, and this is also a reflection for you guys to be able to understand what haircut might work with your hair type. So in my book, there aren't generally bad haircuts. There's not one thing that's going to be bad universally or good universally, because a lot of the times it matters on a lot of external factors like hair type, lifestyle, skin type, hair color, so on and so forth. One of the things that I notice is such a persistent thing, especially when it comes to the ease of the haircut, would be your hair type. And the two haircuts that I will most likely be staying away from are the mullet and the graduated bob. And the one thing that I learned from it is that for both of these, you need a bit of movement in your hair. You need a bit of curl, a bit of wave, any sort of a pattern, anything to be and up, but 3A, which is like anything from an S wave to a full-on curl, is going to benefit from these haircuts. But on something like mine, I have level 1 hair, which is literally limp. On my hair, it just looked like I got the wrong haircut. Just took a lot of effort to constantly style them and constantly kind of bring it a bit of life, something that I wasn't able to give every single day. And so that is one thing that I would kind of advise you guys to do, is understand how your hair type is going to play when you get your haircut. This is something that I would recommend. If you have straight hair like me, or hair without too much movement, or hair that is particularly flat, haircuts that are very, very layered or that require a bit of that, you know, sea salt scrunch might not be the best for you. And I would recommend something a bit more sophisticated, a long bob, a short bob, a pixie, even like a bit of an edgy, spiky look that could benefit from the hair being straight. If you have a bit of curl, a bit of texture, both of these haircuts would work extremely well, but it is just something that I will be avoiding. Those are the 5 things that I will be avoiding in my hair journey. I do think that I have learned immensely through my 10-year career of being my own guinea pig. I am immensely grateful to be able to do this, because like this, I learn, I experience, I experiment, and I'm able to tell you guys, hey, this is bad, hey, these are good. From these videos, you're able to kind of use your own opinions and your own judgment to see whether any of these fit into your life. Some of them are self-explanatory, some of it you only learn once you experience it. Let me know in the comments below if any of these resonated with you. I would love to hear your thoughts on these, as well as any of the hairstyles that you will not be getting based on your own experience. If you haven't already subscribed to this channel, join the Stellar fam. Let's learn a thing or two together. And as always, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you'll give it a go, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!